Imagine choosing to live where most people are afraid to even look, where fire burns day and night, where silence carries the weight of mortality, where society sees darkness, but you see truth. In India, along the banks of sacred rivers and within ancient cremation grounds, there exists a small and mysterious group known as the Aghori Sadhus. To the outside world, they appear shocking. They cover their bodies in ash. They meditate beside funeral pyres. They sometimes carry a human skull, known as a kapala, as part of their rituals. At first glance, it feels disturbing, even frightening, but the real story is far deeper than what the eye sees. The Aghoris are followers of Lord Shiva, one of the principal deities in Hinduism. Shiva represents destruction, not in the violent sense, but in the spiritual sense. The destruction of ego, the destruction of illusion, the destruction of attachment. And that is exactly what the Aghori path is about. The word Aghori itself means fearless or free from darkness. Ironically, what seems dark to society is, to them, a doorway to enlightenment. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort, avoiding death, avoiding anything that reminds them that life is temporary. The Aghoris do the opposite. They walk directly into it. Why live in cremation grounds? Because death is the ultimate equalizer. Rich or poor, powerful or powerless, every human body returns to ash. By living there, the Aghoris constantly remind themselves that the physical body is temporary and that attachment to it is the root of suffering. Why cover themselves in ash? Because ash represents the final state of the body. It is a symbol that everything material eventually dissolves. To them, wearing ash is a declaration. I am not this body, I am beyond it. Why use symbols that shock society? Because they believe that purity and impurity are illusions created by the mind. In their philosophy of non-duality, everything in existence is part of one single reality. There is no separate good and bad, no clean and unclean. Those are categories created by human perception. Their practices are meant to break mental barriers, to shatter ego, to remove fear. And fear to them is the greatest prison. It's important to understand something very clearly. Aghoris are a tiny minority within Hinduism. They do not represent the beliefs or practices of the majority of Hindus. Most Hindus live conventional lives centered on family, prayer, festivals, and community. The Aghori path is extreme, ascetic, and rare. They renounce society, they reject comfort, they reject status. Many own almost nothing. Their focus is entirely on spiritual liberation, what in Hindu philosophy is called moksha, freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. But here's what makes them truly fascinating. In a world obsessed with beauty, they embrace decay. In a world obsessed with youth, they sit beside mortality. In a world obsessed with image, they destroy the ego. What if the things we fear most hold the deepest lessons? The Aghori don't chase wealth. They don't chase approval. They don't seek comfort. They seek transcendence. To many, they look extreme. To themselves, they are simply removing illusions. Their message is uncomfortable but powerful. Everything you cling to will eventually fade. Everything you fear is part of the same reality. And enlightenment begins where attachment ends. Whether you agree with their path or not, one thing is certain. The Aghori Sadhus challenge the way we think about life, death, purity, and fear. What appears dark may not be evil. What appears shocking may not be wrong. Sometimes it is simply unfamiliar. And perhaps the real question isn't why they live among ashes, but why we are so afraid to face them.